it's not that you don't have motivation. It's just you don't have motivation to talk about what you talked about before.
Came in with nothing to lose. 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 That mindset is dangerous, so I'm the wrong one to be playing with.
I'm not feeling the best right now. I'm not feeling the best right now. I'm kind of sick. I woke up sick today. This is the second time I've been sick this month. So not fun at all. But I wanted to do this podcast because I feel like this reflects and relates to what I want to talk about today, which is writer's block. And writer's block is the lack of ability to produce something new, lack of ability to create something, kind of like a burnout, kind of like a slowdown, where you're not able to create the way you want to. And I've, based on my personal experience, seen that one of the best methods to battle that writer's block is to literally let go of expectations and create. But the question that really came from that when I was thinking about it was, what considers something valuable? What considers a product valuable? Now, you have an idea of what you want to create, but even if you don't create what you want to create, you're still creating something that can be valuable. Like, for example, yes, this podcast would technically be more efficient if I was not sick to record it, but me being sick to record it shows a different dimension to this art. First of all, anyone else who's sick watching right now is going to feel less lonely. Like they're not in it alone because I'm sitting right here. Second of all, it shows that if you're going through something like this, you can still pursue and create what you want. And that's also an important message. But both of these messages wouldn't have been reached if I just tried to get to my quote unquote best state to create. So what I'm trying to say is, even though you may not hit your best state to create, you're still creating something valuable, because the truth is no one is at their best state all the time. So when we normalize that and when we show a less perfect version of ourselves, I think instead of see it right here, exactly right here, I'm screwing up. I knew I would screw up because I'm like my mind is not even working crazily because I'm sick, but I'm going through it. But showing me going through it itself is valuable. I could cut that out for efficiency's sake, what I just did, but this experience of me going through something is still valuable. It's a truth that people need to see. Specifically with my brand, what I'm trying to do is uncover the truths about creating, like uncover the things and normalize these outtakes, these bloopers, these behind the scenes moments, and show people the depth of being a creator and how okay it is to have a lot of these problems. And that's part of the reason why I created this podcast. So even though you may not reach the state you want, you're still creating. So why do we assume that things don't have value just because they don't have the value that we thought they would have? They may not have that type of value because we might not be in the state to create what we wanted to create or we created before, but you're developing as an artist. And even the struggle of having writer's block is a struggle worth talking about. You're still going through a struggle not being able to come up with ideas. So if you have writer's block, why not go meta and make a video about having writer's block, or a song about having writer's block? Because that's a struggle you're definitely in the moment of and you're feeling it. So it's like we assume that there's a box of what type of content we can create around what we've seen other people do. Like when you're rapping, you see people talk about certain things like sex, money. And I'm not just saying those are bad or anything, but like those two things, trying to make it, hard work, haters. Like these haters is something kind of in the creative lane that people talk about a lot. But what if we talked about the nuances of writer's block? Like very specific things. And that's exactly what I did with my song Criticism. I was like not in a great mood that day because I had a lot going on. And I was affected by people's opinions that whole week. So I made a song where I was walking around the park and I grabbed a notepad and I wrote every single line on that song word for word on the notepad. And then I came back home. I literally picked a loop. I didn't even pick a beat. There's no drums. There's no, like, literally just one loop. I just picked it. And I rapped every line onto that loop. And what, I rapped every line. Let me turn this up a sec. I rapped every line on that, in that instrumental. And the instrumental didn't have a hook. It didn't have a lead in. It didn't have all the structural things that I was taught are the proper way to create music. However, that became one of my most impactful songs, and is my number one on Spotify right now. And it didn't appeal to any trends. It just was straight to the point, my emotions and my specific emotions. And it's like, wow, that's something that I definitely feel on a daily basis. I go through so many emotions of being a creator. Why not talk about that? Because it's not that you don't have motivation. It's just you don't have motivation to talk about what you talked about before. And I feel the same way about one thing I was doing is I started a 35-day challenge where I wanted to make a song every single day. And I wanted to finish my 3 albums by the end of the 35 days. But a struggle that I realized and came across when trying to do this was not the fact that I couldn't create music, but I couldn't get into the vibes to finish the songs that I started before. And this made me realize, you know what, it's better for me, instead of trying to act and get into this stage of these specific songs that I've already planned, to just create new music. Because it's not that I don't have motivation, it's that I don't have motivation to create what I created, finish what I created before. I have motivation to start new things. So, like, when it comes to writer's block, one thing that's really helped me is just, first of all, showing up is like the biggest thing. And just to show up and record, show up and do what you need to do. And 2, the struggle that you have, even though it's not the struggle that you expected, is still a valuable struggle. It's still something that other people relate to. Like, for example, if you're watching this video, you probably relate to writer's block in one way or another. That's a struggle that people in the world relate to. So who are you to say that it's not a valuable struggle? Who are you to say that it's not a thing worth rapping about, or not a thing worth creating about? So like right here, I talked about. See, I'm screwing up. I'm screwing up. I'm just gonna keep going though. Rapping about one of my struggles with criticism and how I truly felt about it got me so far and made me realize my purpose, because I did something that was very true to self. And I've created more songs just like that, where I was just straight to the point. They haven't released yet, but I realized that just what comes natural, what comes natural, you don't immediately discount that just because it's not what you expected. But I'm going in circles. I'm going to start going in circles if I just keep on bringing this up. But for all my creators, just remember, every story is valuable because you are not alone. You're not the only person who has gone through something. You're the only person who's gone through the unique combination of experiences, but you're not the only person who's gone through every individual experience. So every individual experience, in one way, lensed and framed correctly, is worth sharing. Even lensed and framed incorrectly is worth sharing. You can learn from things that are wrong. You can learn from artistic pieces like that, and we'll leave that for another episode. But don't be afraid to create. Don't think that just because something's not what you expect that it's not valuable, because it can be extremely invaluable. And in fact, can do more for your career than you even think. So just create if you have writer's block. And remember, if you are suffering with writer's block, that's a struggle, that's an idea, that's a concept in itself. So you have an idea right there. You have an idea that you're definitely motivated to create with because you're feeling it. You're in the midst of it. You're in the midst of struggling with it. So remember, create and get real specific about your stories if you got writer's block. At least that's worked for me. Don't be afraid to garner into that. Don't be afraid to venture into that territory. It's going to get you great things. It's going to get you really interesting music, and it's going to get you raw and true to self music.